Obviously, that's a fight where the fans are going to win, and it's going to be the biggest event of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be down. Let's run it. Like, I'll be super, super down. I don't know if
Gervonta needs Jake Paul. Let's be clear, right?
Is there a height limit in boxing?
The rumor mill is in overdrive as fans scramble for answers. If this news is true, the fight between Jake Paul and Gervonta Tank Davis could be one of the most chaotic and talked about events boxing has ever seen. Jake Paul dropped a bit of a bombshell, revealing that he and his team are quietly working behind the scenes on a potential fight with Gervonta Tank Davis. According to Jake, talks are already underway, but he clarified that if it does end up happening, it will most likely be an exhibition match rather than a full-fledged pro showdown.
Yeah, no, we're working on it behind the scenes to make that happen, and obviously that's a fight where the fans are going to win, and it's going to be the biggest event of the year.
What weight would you fight him at?
We're working on it, but it'd be an exhibition most likely. We're in discussions with a lot of names: Gervonta Davis, Anthony Joshua, Badu Jack, Ryan Garcia, KSI, Tommy Fury. So there's a lot of people on the hit list.
In addition, he said he's more than ready to face Gervonta Davis, throwing a jab at Tank's size by joking about his height. He stated that if boxing doesn't have height limits, then there's no question he would step in and fight Tank, exhibition or not.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be down. Let's run it. Like, I'll be super, super down. I don't know if
Gervonta needs Jake Paul. Let's be clear, right?
Is there a height limit in boxing?
However, Jake also weighed in on Gervonta's unfinished business with Lamont Roach, saying that before any talk of him stepping in with Tank can get serious, Tank needs to handle Roach first.
Yeah, no, it was highly talked about and in negotiations and almost ready to make happen, but he has to do his rematch with Lamont and get that W, and then we'll be able to run it back. But me and Gervonta were.
In addition, Jake didn't hold back when giving his thoughts on Tank's first clash with Lamont Roach. He said it didn't even feel like Tank was fighting at his peak, calling the bout more of a sparring session than a real war. Jake added that in his opinion, Tank was lucky to escape with a draw.
Man, he got lucky at the draw. He did a good fight though. I thought he won it, but man, you gotta just create more action. That's a sparring session as far as I'm concerned.
Oh my God.
But God damn, that's not the Gervonta I know.
Meanwhile, Chris Algieri shed light on the rematch, stating that both fighters had a deep history, pointing out that these two have clashed before back in the amateurs, so Tank knew exactly the level Lamont could bring. Algieri added that Lamont is one of those fighters whose reputation speaks for itself. He stated that anyone who does boxing knows how good Lamont is.
So, picking Lamont Roach, you're saying, oh, he's basically cherry picking is what you're alluding to. He has a history with the guy. They've been in the gym together. They sparred together. They fought in the amateurs. He knew the level that Lamont brought. Also, Lamont's one of those guys. You ask anybody in the boxing world, they know how good Lamont is, and it's his record. You know, leading up to him getting to the title shot or getting his title win, it's kind of like, the Jamel Herring fight's really hard to forget. He struggled with some guys that you wouldn't expect him to, but he's really come into his own because the guy who was in the gym that everybody saw coming up has been realized now. So I don't think Gervonta Davis was handpicking an easy guy in Lamont Roach stylistically.
Building on that, Chris also pointed out that Gervonta's team isn't dumb. They know exactly what both fighters bring to the table and where each one can cause problems. He said the game plan worked for them overall, but they definitely overlooked Lamont a bit because of their shared history. According to Chris, Lamont and Tank are on the same level, and that is what makes it more interesting.
Listen, Gervonta's team's not dumb. They look at what this guy can do and where he can give him troubles, and it certainly worked out that way. Did they overlook him a little bit in terms of being like, I beat him back then. He struggled here and there. I'm just too good. I'm on a different level. I think that Lamont really stepped up. So I'm going. So, Gervonta's that good, but guess what? So's Lamont.
Moreover, Shawn Porter's father, Kenny Porter, offered his perspective, saying that the Lamont Roach versus Tank Davis rivalry is a classic case of two fighters who came up through the same circles, competing, growing, and now clashing again on the pro stage. Porter believes Tank's familiarity with Roach made him underestimate just how dangerous Lamont could be, and that miscalculation nearly cost him the first time around.
That was definitely, in my opinion, just watching it, that was definitely a case of a guy growing up with a guy in the neighborhood, coming from the same city, same areas, not necessarily respect. You spar, we spar. We boys, we friends, we know each other. Do we hang out after the gym? Most fighters don't hang out after the gym anyway. No, but what do? They train together, they jump rope together, they run together, they put on their boxing shoes at the same time, they be talking a little bit, they might, hey, look at this on my phone, right? You get calm and relaxed with that person. So I think he underestimated the situation.
Adding to that, Shawn Porter said that in the rematch, Davis needs to show up and perform at the elite level everyone expects from him. Porter also pointed out that the first fight would have earned a lot more respect if Roach had been properly promoted. According to Porter, if the promoters had done their job building up Roach's name and story, it would have added a lot more credibility and hype to that first clash.
Davis and Roach too. How do you think this plays out the second time?
You know, Davis is supposed to step up and show the level that he's on.
Right.
And I always say this about boxing. Boxing does itself a disservice by not promoting both sides. If you did a better job promoting Lamont Roach, people would have expected that fight to be what it ended up being. It was a good boxing match.
Right.
And in a lot of ways entertaining for multiple reasons. But, you know, I think if anything, we know that Lamont is on the road to Tank Davis. Now it's time for Tank to elevate. Do I think he can do that? I do. If he elevates, he should beat Lamont Roach. But when Lamont elevates, you know what I mean? I think it's going to be a good fight. The first one went the way I thought it was going to go.
Okay.
Building on that point, Jeff Mayweather added that people often overlook just how well these two fighters know each other. He pointed out that when guys are that familiar, having shared gyms, sparring rounds, and amateur battles, it can have a real impact in the ring, sometimes flipping expectations on their head.
I think the one thing that is the most important thing that nobody's talking about is the fact that they did fight each other when they were young, growing up, when they were kids. And sometimes stuff like that actually has a real meaning on who's scared of who or whatever, you know. And I mean, I think that Roach went in there and proved that he wasn't scared of Tank at all.
Or do you think, hey, it doesn't matter how hard you punch if you can't land cleanly like he did in the first fight?
No, like I said, I think that what it goes back to is that they both fought each other, and that he's not scared of Tank. Like everybody else is terrified of Tank, and when Tank catches him, basically that's what it is. The fight is over with.
Furthermore, Mayweather also gave Tank some tough advice, saying that if Davis wants the upper hand over Roach this time, he has to come out of the gate fast.
This next fight, I think that if Tank doesn't start fast, be looking for whatever it is he's going to try to do within the first 5 rounds or 4 rounds, I think he's going to lose. I think that he's going to lose to Roach.
Building on that, Jeff pointed out that Tank has a bad habit of starting slow, just like he did in their first fight, and if he doesn't flip that switch early in the first half of the rematch, he's setting himself up to lose again.
I think that, I don't know if that's the right thing to say. I think the one thing is that he has to start faster. He has to be looking for a knockout in round 1, round 2, round 3, every round really, but those early rounds is where normally he just gives those rounds away. It's almost like you can be a guy that really not that great a fighter that will still end up winning rounds.
Subsequently, Paulie Malignaggis also weighed in on Lamont Roach's performance in the first fight, saying that while some people think Lamont overachieved on paper, in reality, it was no surprise at all. Paulie pointed out that Roach is an experienced fighter with a lifetime in boxing and a disciplined team behind him. He credited Roach's camp for knowing exactly how to approach the fight, which is why Lamont looked so sharp when the bell rang.
And then he still fights them, It's just Lamont came very prepared, overachieved on paper. Really, in reality, if we look at between the microscope, Lamont is a very experienced guy and has a lifetime in boxing and has a great disciplined team behind him, and they knew exactly how to approach this, and they approached it very, very well. So when it comes to this rematch, there's a lot to unpack here. First of all, where is the rematch? Do we know where it's going to be? Is it?
It's Vegas.
I think it is Vegas. Yes.
You're doing the rematch in Vegas. So just when I thought
T-Mobile Arena.
Just when I thought
nice.
They couldn't get any dumber, they pull a move like this.
Moreover, Floyd Scoffield threw his pick behind Tank Davis to win the rematch, and that too by stoppage. Scoffield pointed out that Tank bringing back his old coach was the right move, saying it'll help him dial in and stay more focused this time around.
Tank by late stoppage, in my opinion. I feel like him bringing Calvin back was a good thing, and I feel like he's gonna be more focused.
Echoing the sentiments, Richard Hitchens stated that he had Tank winning the first fight and had not expected it to be a draw. He said he knows exactly what kind of talent Tank brings to the ring. He praised him, stating that he can flat out fight. But Hitchens also gave Lamont his due, saying Lamont has been doing this at a high level for a long time and proved he belongs in there with the best.
Before the fight, I really thought, like, you know, I obviously thought Tank would win. I didn't think it would be a tough fight because, like I said, I just feel like, you know, I know what type of talent Tank come with, you feel me? Like, boy could fight, like,
right.
He really special. I done seen him in the gym, like, you know, like, he can fight.
Right.
But Lamont was also somebody back in my hand, like, he been doing it for a minute too, like, and I know when you've been doing it for a minute, that plays one key, but it also plays another key when a kid been doing it for a minute at the biggest stage and through their whole career. So what I mean by that, when a kid been competing at a high level when it was 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, as a professional, getting to championships, they got a certain type of experience.
Building on that, Hitchens stated that he saw the fight as a competitive matchup, a close war that was rightly ruled a draw the first time around. He admitted he didn't think Lamont had done quite enough to edge out a victory.
Who did I think won the fight? I think it was a 50-50. I think it was a close fight. I mean, a draw. I say it over and over. I don't think Lamont did enough to, like, for them to raise his hand and take Tank reputation and everything that Tank built. Like,
and taking the knee, you felt that should have been called a knockdown?
Yes, it should have been called a knockdown for sure. I've never seen that in boxing, but you do gotta realize though, like in boxing, if a guy, like, if something wrong with you, something getting your cup, something is like up with you, how do you, like, take a pause in the action?
In amateurs, you could do that.
Yeah, in amateurs, they do tell you that. It's on the rule, but take a step back and take a knee.
Hitchens also weighed in on the controversy, saying that the knee bend should have been called a knockdown, down which could have swung the scorecards.
Yeah. They do tell you that, because if amateur stuff happen with your headgear or something, it could be a malfunction. You still gotta be able to know how to take a break. So, you know, Tank probably thought, like, hold up, let me take a step back, hold up, like, so, but, you know.
Additionally, lightweight Ingram, who spent time sparring and trading shots with Gervonta Davis, made his prediction clear. He believes Tank is going to end the rematch decisively. According to Ingram, Tank won't leave it to the judges this time and is fully confident he'll knock Lamont Roach out cold.
Who'd you see winning that fight?
This fight, Gervonta, I feel gonna knock him out.
However, Ingram added that Tank probably didn't expect Roach to handle his power so well the first time around, and that surprise threw him off his game. He believes this time, Tank will approach the rematch with a whole different mindset, taking Roach far more seriously and coming in better prepared.
My personal opinion, I think I wouldn't say took Roach, like Roach was a nobody, but I think he felt like he was already gonna knock Roach out, and if Roach couldn't handle his power, so I think that kind of surprised him. So I think this fight, he's gonna be more going in there, taking it a lot more serious, being more serious about it from the beginning of the rounds, because I feel like the way he was fighting at the end, if he had started fighting like that from the beginning, he probably would have been knocked Roach out.
Weighing in, Oscar De La Hoya made it clear you can't count Lamont Roach out. He said that after watching Roach up close, he's come to see just how sneaky good Roach really is, the kind of fighter who can catch you when you expect it the least. And that, according to Oscar, is what makes Roach a threat.
Gervonta Davis is, I mean, to say the least, he's a beast. He really is. He's a tremendous fighter. He's a dedicated fighter when it comes to training and fighting and making sure that he's in optimal conditions when he steps inside that squared circle. It's going to be a tough night for Roach, but you can never count him out. You know, watching him fight up close and personal, he's sneaky good, which means he can catch you at any time. He can land combinations, sometimes at will, without you even knowing it. You know, he's that sneaky.
Furthermore, Roach cleared his mindset heading into the rematch, saying he feels like a true champion this time around. He said he's ready to wrap things up for good, confident that he now knows every detail about Tank's game. According to Roach, he's seen everything Tank has to offer from their first fight, and he is coming in the second clash fully prepared to counter it all and leave no doubts when he enters the ring again.
Like a champ, like I'm supposed to. I've been in the gym, I've been ready. Time to ramp it up, kick it in gear, and get right to work.
I'm gonna ask you a quick question about the fight, the first fight with Tank. What did you see in that fight that can help you propel into the next fight?
I saw all I needed to see in that first fight. Trust me. I'm gonna go back to the drawing board. Obviously, you know, I didn't do enough to win, so I'm gonna make sure we do more than enough.
In addition, Paulie pointed out that when you look at Lamont Roach, you won't see blazing speed or devastating one-punch power. He stated that nothing flashy jumps out at you, unlike Gervonta Tank Davis, who is naturally gifted.
Gervonta had natural God-given talent. He had natural blazing speed, twitch muscles, and power. Lamont didn't have that God-given talent, but you know where they evened out the stakes, because it was such a big difference. Character and backbone. Lamont has a ton of character and backbone. Gervonta has none. So as soon as you push back on Gervonta Davis, he's looking for a way out. You push back on Lamont Roach, he's trying to get in your face. And that sort of evened the stakes. That was, if you watch the fight, that evened up the whole thing. Instead,
Paulie said what makes Lamont dangerous is his rock-solid fundamentals. He's a fighter who sticks to the basics, stays sharp, and executes with discipline, and that's what makes him so tough to beat.
Like I said before, I think with Lamont, we always knew that it was all there.
Yeah.
Well, you looked at Lamont with a naked eye, though, and you say, okay, he doesn't have overabundant speed, doesn't have overabundant power. He's a solid fundamental fighter. He doesn't have any special, particular God-given talent that you can add to the technique there. But you know what he did have? He's an intelligent fighter with a solid game plan. He knew how to fight Gervonta because, like you said, they have a history. But again,
but in a world of fighters who lack fundamentals, because we're in that world right now,
yeah,
those guys can stand out. And Lamont's that guy.
Well, Lamont has fundamentals.
Meanwhile, Showbiz the Adult expressed that Lamont must bring in the heat in the rematch and win so that he can truly capitalize on the fame he is getting. Otherwise, he will be forgotten. Showbiz pointed out that some fighters struggle to maintain focus once they reach the top. He hoped that Roach was not among them.
Roach, listen, bro. Brother, you can't be in silk pajamas after a draw. I'm concerned. This is what I want to say about champions. A lot of times, people see the challenger as the rough guy, as the hungry guy, and not the champion. But there's a reason why champions become champions. And I'm talking about reigning champions, because they are the ones with grit.
Moreover, Coach Kenny Ellis gave his take on how the rematch could unfold, saying he expects it to look different than the first time the fighters traded blows. He predicted another close competitive battle, but believes this time it'll be a cleaner, more technical affair, with both fighters landing crisp, well-placed shots. Ellis stated that both of them will make the necessary adjustments needed.
Both of them, like I said, they both at, top of the game. I see a competitive fight. Nice, clean, crispy shots, like the first fight, Mm-hmm. I mean, I can't speak on what I seen, but the fight will be different.
Right, because you could strategize and do different things.
Yeah, it'll be different. Lamont can do a little bit of everything, man. He always been like that since he was a kid, Good fight, top amateur, top pro,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great pedigree, man. Great team of people, great family, He can do a little bit of everything.
At the end of the day, whether Jake Paul ends up in the ring with Tank or not, all eyes are currently locked on the heated rematch between Tank and Lamont Roach. With boxing insiders, former champs, and active fighters all weighing in, it's clear this isn't just another fight. It's a statement that could reshape the division. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Tell us if you think the Jake Paul vs. Tank Davis fight will ever happen, or will this rematch between Roach and Tank spoil that for good? Before you go, hit the like button, subscribe, and press the bell icon so you are always notified when new updates drop.